Hey there, and welcome to GovConHacks. I'm your host.
It's never
Good
right.
afternoon, everyone. I don't know where my timer went, but apparently went live at 13. Here we are.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, happy Thursday. You can tell we're a bit out of practice.
I
This
know.
whole every other week thing. Welcome if you are new here. I'm Ashley Dual, CEO, Dual Dev, GovConHacks.com, and my co-host Natasha Velez, CEO of MBS Strategic Solutions. So capture proposals.
Yeah.
We are here most Thursdays, live most of the time. Sometimes not. Sometimes we'll pre-record. Sometimes we have guests. Sometimes we don't. But we are sharing tips and tricks to keep you productive and keep you moving the needle in government contracting, small or large.
Make
So if
that
you're just
money.
joining us, welcome.
Yeah.
And as always, you can support us by liking, subscribing, commenting, all of that stuff.
All
And
the things.
all of the things. And I know I've been talking about, if you've been around here for a while, I've been talking pretty much all year about when we hit May or June, being able to actually see some trends and some spending being reported in the data. So
Yep.
I, for one, a data super nerd, am very excited for tonight's episode.
This is where she lights up because she gets to go into the data. We're going to decode the federal spending. We're going to follow the money for this quarter, for next quarter. And what are we going to do? You tell me, Ashley.
Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to share the screen here because this is a capture person's very best friend.
Whoop, whoop.
Now, if you're old school, you may still use FPDS. If you're new age, you might use SAM ad hoc data because everyone told you you should. Me, I'm stuck in my ways, and I find this to be the most user-friendly option. Plus, there's really, by and large, not a whole lot I can't get out of here. It all sources from the same place, which is the Federal Procurement Data System. So
Mhm.
I'll just kind of show you around a little bit first, and then we'll dig into what's happened so far this year. First of all, if you are just joining us, when I do these demos, I do like to cater to who's in the audience. So if you are here watching live, please say hi. Let us know what industry you're in so that maybe the first use case, I'll take a look at your industry. All right, so USA spending, when you first land here, pretty simple. Usually I skip everything and go straight here, but that's because I know what I'm doing. If you're new to USA spending, there are some resources that I would encourage you to check out. You can go in to explore the data. These are the different profiles that are available to see quick snapshots. You
Okay.
have a spending explorer over here. So this is a drill down agency specific. Then over here, you have various resources. And this would be if you're a developer, this is what you're going to.
I literally never have looked at the find resources section. I didn't know that existed.
A lot of people don't know existed. I mean, because they never poked around. So that's why I'm showing you. There are quite literally training videos on
Oh,
US.
that's
Now,
awesome.
I admittedly have never used those because when I had to figure it out, they didn't exist. But I just figured it out. But data dictionary, this is essentially like, all right, so the UI does leave quite a bit to be desired if you're a nerd like me and you want to find out things like how many offers were received on this contract,
Mhm.
or show me only contracts that only had one offer received. I can't really do that without pulling the data. But if you don't know which column means what, it's kind of impossible to interpret and know what you're doing. So that's helpful.
Fair enough.
Glossary of commonly used terms. If you're brand new to government contracting, this is going to be helpful because this data sometimes is kind of like a different language. So that's what I do. I interpret the data. And the data tells a story. And oftentimes it's going to tell the story when focused on your strategy, short term, long term. It depends on the information that we're looking for, how we're going to use it. But for today, I'm on a very specific mission. So, and then here is your data download. You have the archive. You can really download the whole database, but good luck opening that zip file. All right, start searching awards. All right, now I'm not going to look at any particular industry at this point. I'm really only concerned with what happened roughly, let's go to February 1st to present. All right, now,
So why are we looking February 1st to present?
well, I want to see, first of all, I guess I maybe should start with the 2 years prior to 2025. So basically, I'm trying to capture what's changed
Okay.
this quarter, well, this fiscal year under this administration as far as trends. What are we seeing? How much is being spent where type of thing.
Okay.
So what we can go back, let's look at this first, and then we'll go back to the last four and kind of compare and contrast. So contracts, IDVs. Now you can also look at grants here. So if it's like it came out of, excuse me, not a contract, but a different funding mechanism, direct payments, even SBA loans are in here, but I'm not interested in any of that right now. Location, I'm going to keep it open, believe it or not. US government spends money all across the world.
Yep.
So I'm interested in knowing all of it. Well, when I say all of it, let me explain that what you're not going to find in here is you're not going to find micro purchases. So anything under 10,000 or 3,500 for services is not required to be reported. And furthermore, you're not really going to see the top secret stuff. That lives in a different system. So,
yeah, fair enough.
This is just your general spend. Going through this, you've got several columns here, and this has recently changed. I will say that the last time I was in here, they had done something with the filters, and it was just chaotic. So I'm glad to see that they put it back in its natural form.
I think they were trying to redo it like they were Sam. But
yes.
it was kind of a mess.
It was
So
clunky. It was super clunky, wasn't it? I
Yeah.
wasn't a fan. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing the prime award ID, not to be confused with the solicitation number. This is issued after the award. The recipient name, this is who the contract went to. So tips for subcontractors, if you're a sub, anyone in the recipient column was recently awarded, in some cases, a pretty sizable contract. So we know above 750,000, and my disclaimer here is I have not looked to see if any of the FAR changes affected this threshold thus far. So if something has changed as far as the FAR overhaul and what I'm about to say, that could be true. Do your due diligence. But 750,000 was what triggered the subcontracting claim requirement, right? So when I see dollar figures like this, in most cases, there are subcontracting plans included. Going right, your description, award type. Definitive contract is an IDV or indefinite delivery vehicle. Those are your IDIQs in most cases, your longer term contracts. Now, this is all new. They never used to have this here. This is very
yeah.
and the recipient location right there in the UI. You can literally copy that, go to either DSBS if they're small or another source to kind of check them out, look at their past performance history. If you're doing your due diligence and evaluating them, as you should be, because you don't want to work with everybody. All right, if it was a part of an emergency fund and there's a code assigned to it, you'll find it there. They did put a lot more information in the UI. And here's what we all want to get to is who's the customer, right? Now, a little bit different way that USA Spending reports. What you're seeing here is the awarding agency. So that's, essentially who did the procurement. But it may not be the end user. There's another column, which is the funding agency, which you don't see in this particular UI. However, the funding agency will often be your end user, and that's who they call the customer. So in some cases, the funding and the awarding are the same, and in other cases, they're not. All right, performance periods. Here you go, man. So this is interesting. And then also, the NAICS code, you can see right there now, the product
You made it
service.
super easy. I like it.
Now, I do like these changes. That definitely provides a little bit more insight. But the purpose, I wanna see where it's going. So this is basically who has done most spending, and I will say the Department of Defense has a 90-day reporting lag, so this isn't even all of their spend.
Right.
As far as the what in industries, facility support has been the biggest at
That is
12.3
funny.
billion.
I
Facility
have seen a lot. I'm not gonna lie though, I've seen a lot that's under facility support services. It does not necessarily
the
mean
scope doesn't
it
necessarily
is facility support services. I
right.
saw one
So
for about 50 million that was literally just staffing, but it was under facility support services.
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
What were they staffing? Consultants? I'm just
Healthcare.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Literally healthcare,
It was a
imagine.
joke, guys. It was a joke.
We're
All
going
right.
away.
Next in line,
Sir,
custom computer systems design services. So IT
IT.
definitely 7.55 billion. And this is just a few months. Can I just lay that out there, guys? This is quite literally
That's
just
a
a
lot
few
in a
months.
few months. Just saying.
R&D, engineering services. That's kind of a catch-all, though. We'll have to do
Yeah.
more digging to figure out what that was.
Yeah, that's integration, there's hardware, there's anything.
Direct health and medical, pharmaceutical prep, 5 for 1, 519. This is probably a little bit of spillover. So,
Mhm.
value-added resellers, RIP to us. The government wants to go direct to manufacturer, so I do expect this to decrease the next time we look. Commercial and institutional building construction. Well, those do take considerable amount of time. They're not
There are a
usually.
lot though.
What's
Lately,
that?
there are a lot. So I've been gotten a couple of clients in construction lately. There has been a new need for new facilities throughout the United States and new construction throughout. So we are going to see that increase substantially. So if you're in construction, it's a really good time to be alive.
Yeah, get yourselves registered and get yourself certified before you see a solicitation, please. It's really hard to get all the things done when you've got one and you're like, "Can we get help writing it?"
I got 30.
Yes, you can, but you do need to be registered. You need to be certified. You need to have read it.
Mhm.
So, I'll get off my soapbox now, but here's, 3.45 billion. 541,990, more IT. Security guards and patrol, 1.87 billion.
Hmm.
That's one you don't see in the top 20 every day.
No, but I think with the administration the way it is, it probably makes sense now.
And then you see some in the negative. Okay, so what other options? This is my favorite, guys, personally, because this tells me more than just a NAICS code does, because the product service code is not just the industry
Mhm.
classifier, it's the product or service. So
So let's
I
break
will
it
say
down.
that these were updated in April. So grab the latest version from acquisition.gov. Some of these that we're seeing may be retired codes. I can't say for sure which industries, but that have been affected by the updates. But most commonly, IT is one of them.
Mhm.
So if you are in IT, see if they broke this up any further. Um, Operation of miscellaneous buildings. So that's probably where a lot of that facility support's coming in.
Yeah,
Drugs and
sure.
biologicals,
That's interesting.
other professional support. This one, I get a kick out of that. This could be consulting. This could be
Yeah.
like it could
Yeah.
quite literally be anything under the sun. So I find
Yeah.
that funny. Business application development, DA01.
Mhm.
We have professional support engineering, medical managed healthcare. Operation of government R&D facilities, other environmental services, IT equipment, and here's your security guards down here. So considerable amount of that was guarding, but that wasn't all of it. I think it was 2 point something billion, wasn't it? medical screening, R&D, operation of government-owned facilities, health insurance. So that is, I mean, it's definitely a good time to be in IT or facilities management, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of medical and R&D happening too. Well, that's not to say, now let's take it back. Now that we kind of got a snapshot, remember these NAICS and product service codes because we're going to take it back and we'll just compare. Because I've had a lot of folks telling me that I'm not seeing very many solicitations for what I do. So, we addressed that in a previous episode when we went through the differences in the NAICS and the terminology.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't caught that and you're sitting here wondering where are my opportunities, please do go watch that one. Let's take a look. We're going to go backwards. We're not going to touch 25 this time. Let's just look at 2 years. And I still over a million transactions just in the last 4 months, 5 months. All right. Now I'm just going to, in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and skip. This is 2 years now. This is over a 2-year period, so quite a considerable difference in the numbers, but DoD, they have the biggest budget. All right, here's the NAICS.
Oh, that is interesting.
Quite a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell you can use the filter columns to further refine these categories, of course. I'm not going to get too far in the weeds, but want to make sure that the audience had a base level understanding so that, if they think that they should be seeing something and they're not, how they can go check. Because a NAICS code is not necessarily what we need to be searching for. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again, but if you're looking for something specific, pop some keywords into here and just look to see what happened in your industry for these years and then for the last, say, 4 or 5 months. So let's take a look at product service codes now.
Medical managed healthcare. Support engineering still kind of at the top, and it's aircraft, fixed wings. Yep.
The managed healthcare, if I had to guess, and at least a good portion of this was going to be probably the VA benefits that the former administration had put into place to give additional care to veterans. So it makes sense that managed healthcare would have been kind of highest on the list in that case. Interesting. All right. Now, there is one thing that I want to show you guys because a lot of folks will just stop here, right? Because they get analysis paralysis. Me, I like to dig a little further. So I'm going to just click on one of these contract awards and show you what's inside. Because this is sometimes where I get a lot of my intel. Now, usually, not necessarily in this case. Let me go, actually, I'm going to get a different example. Let me find someone small, maybe.
Yeah, they'd be scrolling forever because
We're going to change this to small business because I want to show you guys the difference and how you can tell. Recipient, there it is. Like, look at all these filters here. I could quite literally find, and they've added quite a bit too, which is helpful, but you can quite literally zero in on contracts in a specific set aside or what have you.
I use this primarily just for those, because I know this is a constant thing that people are trying to figure out is how to partner and how to find people in their industry. I use it as a good basis for that to see who won what that's in my industry or maybe nearby that I can build a relationship, because I truly always say that 75% of your pipeline should be subcontracting opportunities, right? Because
Absolutely.
it saves you money.
It should
And
be coming from multiple places.
yeah, not just one. Don't just always go in as the prime and have a sub. Some people kind of go blindly into wanting just to be a prime. There's nothing wrong with subbing and building that expertise to then flip over and be a prime. But this is an amazing tool to pull in the data of who's winning what and who you can partner with, because you already know what contracts they have, what their analysis is in regards to spending and how much they've received over time. That in itself, I can usually tell by the trends of revenue as to like, oh, somebody just lost their 8A schedule. Oh, someone didn't plan the
You
next
can quite literally tell.
you
For
can.
example, one telltale sign, because I do a lot of capture for my clients.
Mm,
So when they have a contract vehicle list of primes and they've got all this experience and value to bring to the table, but the prime looks like they kind of got lucky on
yeah.
winning that contract vehicle, I'm able to kind of tell that just by looking around. So one of the telltale signs is I look at their UEI and FPDS and I'll see like 6 records. It
Mm,
doesn't say no records found, it says 6 records. To the untrained eye, somebody would think, "Oh, they've got past performance." But if you look closely, there's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And it's FSS, FSS. What does
mm,
that mean? That means that they got a GSA schedule award.
yeah.
And there's so far $0 collected on it.
Yep.
So, um, doing your homework what might save you a lot of time from going down a rabbit hole that, just because somebody was able to get a contract award on an IDIQ does not mean that they're getting any more than the bare minimum, which what's the floor on that? Like 3,000?
No, it's like
3,000?
mm-mm.
6,000 now?
Yeah. It's anywhere from 6 to 10 depending on the IDIQ, but
Right. It might be a $50 million contract, but there's no guarantee that business is getting any
no,
more
stop.
than just $6,000 of that work.
Didn't we just look
So
up one?
what's that?
Didn't we just look up one?
We did.
Somebody who was very well known, I ain't gonna say names, was claiming to win millions, and we pulled out their past performance and the contracts won here on your good old friendly USA spending. And IDIQs for $20 million, but actually awards of like 3,000 or 10,000. So it's
Being awarded a contract and winning task orders under that IDIQ contract are 2 completely different things. So,
and to make it simple, winning a contract versus making money are two totally different things.
yes, you have to be profitable because look, guys, we're not in this to lose money. We're in business to be profitable.
Yes.
So if you're looking at a contract and you might potentially lose money, just don't bid. There's going to be another one. You saw the spending yourself just a moment ago. But let me show you this real quick. Right here in the business types area is quite literally where you can see all of their designations. Are they small? Are they other than small? What set asides do they have? Are they US owned? Are they foreign owned? What's their formation type?
Mhm.
So that kind of gives you an indication of who they are.
This is
Here's the trend of their awards. So you can see how long it took them to really make traction. And then boom,
2023 was a good year.
that was a really good year for them. They went through the roof, but I can
Yeah.
imagine there's probably an IDIQ there, an IDIQ somewhere.
Or they brought on BD.
Oh, look,
There you
2022. So they probably did really good in the market research phase of the procurement cycle
go. Mm,
during federal fiscal 2022, because as soon as 2023 hit,
boom.
I bet they played the RFI source to SOT game toward Q4, Q3 of 2022 to see this spike.
That was a good spike.
Or maybe a contract vehicle that was necessary. It could have been either.
Let's see what they're getting a lot of. Oh, Department of State. Not too many people focus on that. That's a good one.
97% with state. Very nice.
They knew where their niche was.
Mhm.
Facility support overseas. Loving it. All
So they
right.
do work CONUS and OCONUS.
Mhm.
Definitely have
Love it.
expanded. And looking at the amount of contracts that they have, I would probably be willing to bet at least something that they have subcontracting plans somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So, if any of these things is what you do, this might be a qualified prime to reach out to and have a capability briefing. You don't want to go up to a prime and say, "Hey, will you enter in a mentor protege agreement with me?" Guys, that's the equivalent of a marriage. You wanna
Huh?
date? Go on a few dates with them first, couple projects,
Right.
make sure you work well together first. Um, all right. Any questions on that? Do we have any questions in the chat? I know I've just been, like,
I didn't pay
screen
attention.
sharing away. Do we have any industries in the chat? If you're just joining us, please let us know what industry you work in the chat. We can focus
Ooh,
on.
let's do some healthcare staffing because I don't know. I just recently got like 1 million people for healthcare staffing, so this is my
Oh,
shake
goodness.
of making
Okay.
them do the work.
All right, so here's my disclaimer with healthcare staffing is it's kinda different in market research than other industries. And
Why?
the reason that it's different is because you quite literally cannot just look up healthcare staffing or medical staffing.
Okay.
You have to look it up by role. So, my question then becomes, are they staffing nurses? Are they
Yeah.
staffing radiologists, physical therapists, physicians, mental health providers? What are they staffing?
Let's start with registered nurses.
All right. Well, that one's easy.
Okay.
Um, for that one, I'm just gonna look. The simpler, the better, because
Okay.
that's gonna pick up licensed practical nurse, registered nurse, RN, LPN, any nurses, any different ways somebody might say the word nurse or any credential that the word nurse might
Mhm.
be included will come up by just keeping it simple. All
Okay.
right. We're gonna hit submit. Oh, I put my small business field. Let me get my small business field out of there. I know, I feel like Jeopardy with all this scrolling.
My age is young.
What they haven't added to the UI yet are, set-asides. I'd like to be able to sort by set-aside or something. Okay. Alright, so this is the last little under 2 years, so, if you're
Horror group.
for someone who might not be aware, the federal fiscal year runs from Oct October 1 to September 30 of the
Mm.
following year. So we are actually we are approaching Q4. It's really about to get fun, Natasha. Are you ready for
I'm
Q4?
not ready for Q anything. Okay. I'm at Q3 and I'm already like I'm over it. Okay.
This has been one of the busiest Q3s that I remember in a
Yes.
while.
This
But
is
that aside,
much busier than last year.
there were 2,400 contracts and 140 indefinite delivery vehicles for healthcare staffing. Surprisingly, DoD, biggest buyer, followed by the VA, HHS in third place.
Oh.
But the trends have considerably dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And here are your biggest states, your biggest spending states,
Really,
guys.
Cali. Well, Cali's huge, but it's hard to get anyone to want to bid in Cali. But yeah.
And then if you look at this is always interesting to me because the recipient location,
Mm.
it's not too far off in this case. But in like construction, the
Mm-hmm.
place of performance and the recipient location, like the map just completely switches around.
That's what everyone
So
says.
if you're in an industry where geography matters, um, that's important. So, oh, one more thing. Let's look at one of these guys, right? So let's say I'm a small business, I staff nurses,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to engage for some of the subcontracting dollars. So I'm checking out Optum. I can't necessarily compete with them. So, you know that old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Well, that's small business. That's what we got to do as small businesses. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to see a little more about what they're doing. So there's a global nurse advice line. So now
Is your screen like
telehealth nurse triage. So it sounds like it's a virtual thing. That's kind of cool. All right. In this additional information area, nobody ever looks at this, and this is golden. So I can see
Ashley?
both the
Ashley.
customer and the buyer.
Ashley,
What?
do you hear me?
What'd you say?
Screen is frozen.
My screen's frozen.
Yeah, nobody sees anything you're saying.
Oh,
There it is. Yay!
thank you.
I was like, where is it?
So how I got there was I just scrolled to the bottom of the page.
Yay!
I clicked on the the contract award number, and I went to the bottom of the page. And here, remember we talked about earlier how the customer
Yeah.
may or may not be the same as the buyer. Well, here is where it'll tell you if there's any difference. Parent award is blank. Place of performance, Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
That's interesting.
All right. Potential end date of 2023. Okay. This tells me, so if I'm this small business and I want to get to the point where I am competing with them someday, labor standards are important to be aware of. This contract required labor standards. So there's going to be more, think, fringe benefits. I mean, you're going to quite literally, in order to compete for this contract, be in compliance with all of the labor standards. You'll probably have to be W-2ing these employees. This isn't something you're ever going to be able to, I hate that M word. So I'm just going to say you're not going to be able to pass it through.
Oh, so I went through a couple Rolodex of numbers in my head. I was like, letters.
Here's the business types.
So it's an SCA contract, is that what that is? For the labor standards, or is that what that means?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
So the service contract agreement.
The Services Contract Act, SCA labor standards.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want that.
Here's how many offers were received. 4.
Oh, wow. I actually didn't know that was enough. Keep on, you're teaching me.
Full and open competition. So because it went full and open competition and it was not set aside, if I'm a hub zone firm, I would have gotten a 10% price preference.
And only 4 people submitted? I didn't know you could see that. Keep talking, Ashley.
ChatGPT doesn't tell you all this. I don't care what you say.
I was like, tell me. See how I did the
contract?
There
it is. Individual subcontracting plan.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
All right. So that's basically and it was a negotiated proposal quote for our solicitation procedures. So quite literally now,
that's crazy.
You can also find in here, if it was sole sourced, the justification for the sole source will also be in here.
Okay.
So there's a lot of cool things that you can find just poking around here if you know where to look and how to use it. So do be sure, if you guys are having any trouble finding anything, if you're like, I'm a super data nerd over here, if you need help figuring something out. And one of the things that I know that new small businesses struggle with a lot is terminology. So in the commercial side, we might call that widget one thing, whereas the government might call it something else or a variant thereof. So if you're using the terminology that you know and that you're used to, but the government's calling it something else, you might be having trouble finding what you're looking for. So that's where folks like us can come in. If you are, there's no reason in the world that you need to be out there trying to figure it out or spinning your wheels or wasting too much time in a wrong direction, because that gets expensive. And Let's face it, time's money.
And it's exhausting.
It is.
We
Does
feel
anyone in the chat have any questions? Anything you want to see in here while I have it up? There is so much to show and tell. But if you don't use it, you'll never know it. Any burning questions? How's the government buying this? Or how's the government buying that?
Now we know that the government intends to switch their spending quite a bit for 2026. I'm curious. I know we're decoding 2025, but since 2026 is part of 2025 in government, can you share how someone like myself could learn where the spending trends are going after the fiscal year end? Or is it too early?
Well, you have just reminded me that I haven't looked at a procurement forecast in quite some time. But what I'm seeing is quick turnarounds on opportunities. They're definitely making a solid effort to spend less time evaluating proposals.
Okay, I like that.
It's
Kind of. Aren't they supposed to be bringing AI? I think I heard something like they're supposed to have.
they are quite literally using AI to draft solicitations. It looks like, yeah, in some cases. I can't say in all cases, but you can definitely see it's a little bit more laxed than in years past,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I mean, certain things you never think you'd see in your lifetime, and other things you're like, oh, well, that's kind of cool because it does, in a sense, make it easier for small businesses.
Yes.
But in a lot of cases, you're quite literally having to like guess what they want.
Well, they're very vague.
They're very vague.
It's very
So
vague.
they're quite literally depending on you to be the expert and read through their vagueness to deliver what they're asking you for.
But that gives you also, so like when people, all right, so I'm going to play bad cop here. When people don't know what they want, that means they're open for you to tell them what they want. They don't know what they
Right.
want.
If it's sources sought RFI, they quite literally are asking you because they may not know what they want.
I love a person that doesn't know what they want. I'm like, haha, allow me to introduce myself. See, to the right? Like you come in with your sources on your RFI, and I'm like, you know what you should do. And and they're just like, cool, somebody give me something. And then you see a solicitation come out, and it's like positioned for you because you're the one that told them what to write. So let's not get angry. Let's get proactive, right?
Yes, I've been preaching this, and like we're kind of seeing it play out and come around full circle in real time.
Yep.
And everyone who thought that I was full of it a year and a half ago when they were following the middleman stuff, well, every source is sought. So what we're gonna see here, they've been flying off the shelves. Not only just eBuy, FedConnect, SAM.gov, sources sought and RFIs are plentiful, right? So what we're gonna see is come Q4, the spending is gonna shoot up, and the solicitations that are posted are going to look very much like those sources sought responses that were submitted last quarter.
Yep.
So, mark my words, come back and let me know if you're seeing that in your industry, because it happens every year at some capacity. But I don't know if there's ever been one quarter where I have seen so much market research quite literally happening simultaneously.
Yes. There's so many sources soughts that it's really hard because normally right now I'm just used to solicitations. But I have solicitations and sources soughts and SIBRs and SCTRs.
And RFIs that look like they're a fillable form, but they're quite literally a 20-page response.
No, it's a 20-page response.
Yeah.
They're just direct, like answer this question on my form. I'm like, okay. There is so much. I mean, it's a great time to be into government contracting. I will say that. But the spending hasn't stopped. If anything, I think it's going to like, they're saying that the goal is like $1 trillion. which that's definitely a record. It's pivoted. And what I've noticed, because we do a lot of innovation, a lot of the clients, I want to say about 70% of my clients are into innovation, and they come from accelerator programs. And so everything is like new tech and AI and the whole thing, right? It's everywhere. There are brand new, not recompetes, brand new opportunities coming out in the billions for research. We have a new one that's coming out for the Defense Health Agency. So they're coming out with a giant $50 billion IDIQ. That's just for research and development for new AI technology that can advance medical, any sort of medical initiative that you can think of. That's so much. And
Yeah.
everything, and NASA too has come out with a recent one. And that one is like over $1 billion. And that one is just literally for innovation. Anything that they can use for space or for space stations or for, I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's nuts.
There are also some innovative projects on Vulcan. So Special Operations
Oh yeah.
Forces has their own system, SOF, and they don't post their projects the same at all. So there are quite a few interesting projects. Like if you're into intel and innovation, check that out. But definitely the AI spending is, I mean, there are OTAs, there are SBIRs.
Mhm.
Non-traditional funding can often be a quicker way to bring solutions to market
Right.
than the traditional contracting process.
Yes.
So, I imagine that we're gonna start seeing a shift in those areas, like we have already with the IT space kinda moving toward GSA.
Yeah. Just to like even step a little further on in regards to the SIBR, there is also there is a trend going on where we're all about supporting innovation and new ideas, which is exciting and great. But
Is
there's also this trend of we're not wasting money anymore on what used to be. So everything that had to do with middleman, that's pretty much going out the window. Everything that had to do with taking advantage of multiple SIBRs. Now, SIBRs is literally research and development where the government supports you develop your product to commercialization and to a TRL of 7 and up so that you can militarize it, right? And sell it back to them, finalized and ready for completion. But people that had SIBRs in many cases would go to multiple agencies, get multiple SIBRs, multiple phases. And I think I knew one company that had like 52 SIBRs. And I was like, at what point are
the
you
same product?
I was like, I think it's pretty developed. Like
That's
you
odd.
like they were talking to each other. And I was like, transition out of Cyberland and move on to big boy land, right?
Yeah, like, let's sell the product now. Come on, let's
It's
go.
work, right? But it was easy money. You know what I mean? Like think
Yeah.
about it, phase two is almost like 2 million to 2.2 million in many cases. So you're seeing that. So you're seeing more of a little lax in that area, but in the cyber world, you're noticing like, hey, listen, a push. If you get 1, 2, 3, now you could phase out and get to work. And so you're finding cutbacks in some areas and shifts in other to promote innovation, new ideas. So it depends what part of the pendulum you want to be a part of, but yeah.
Well, we went a little bit over time. Anybody last round for questions?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find where I put my little, oh, there it is. You can support us by liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing with someone that might be helpful for. Um, and also,
Oh,
if you watch the ad the whole way through, that supports us too, believe it or not. So
yeah.
good news, great news. As far as next week, I would like for someone in the audience, what do you guys want us to talk about next week? So I have a couple topics in mind, but I hate to divert from something that might be important to one of you right now. So between today and Sunday night, comment on this video what you would like us to talk about next week.
Yeah.
And we
Give me
will
something
bring it to the
specific, and we'll
forefront.
dive into it and find the solution.
Yeah. We are problem solvers here in the government contracting space. So if you're having a problem, bring it to the table. We can solve it together.
Let's do it.
All right. So I understand we are doing drinks on my porch, right?
Yes, tomorrow. Alcohol and proposals, because I said
Alcohol and proposals. Yeah. So we're starting a new thing.
not too drunk. I gotta keep the story
No, we can't. We have to make sure we can still
right.
still
Legibly.
technical approach.
Oh
No,
Lord.
it'll be after business hours. So you guys all have a great weekend. Thank you for showing up today and supporting us. We appreciate you as always. And let us know again in the comments of this video what you want to see next week. I will be watching. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.